What's good, fight fans? Welcome back to another episode of Combat and Kick It. You already know. It's your host, Bando. We back at it with a fresh episode to talk about UFC 324. We're going to go through and do the breakdown of the whole card. We got some news and updates to the card that we have to talk about. So, let's waste no time. Let's get right into it. Let's smoke. So, like I said, welcome back to another episode of Combat and Kick It. It's your host, Bando. We talking about UFC 324. That is Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje going up against each other for the interim UFC lightweight championship. Very interesting matchup. But let's get straight to the bad news real quick and let's get this out of the way. Newest update just came in today. Kayla Harrison is out of her fight against Amanda Nunes due to some sort of neck injury. So the co-main event, unfortunately, is scratched, but it is postponed for a later day. So we will end up getting that fight, just not UFC 324. So obviously for us fight fans, it really sucks when we have to sit and wait so long for fights. Sometimes having back-to-back weekends is a little too much of fights, but having back-to-back weekends with no fights, that shit sucks. Simple as that. But we are back. UFC 324, stacked card, honestly, from the early prelims all the way up. Now, obviously, I don't really do too much when it comes to breaking down the early prelims, but we're going to talk about them slightly real quick. Let's get into it. Opening the card, you got Adam Fugit versus Ty Miller. Looks like Ty Miller is making his debut. That is kind of why I stalled for a second. I've seen Adam Fugit, but I've never seen Ty Miller. So Ty Miller is making his UFC debut. He is 1-0. in his career, so that's interesting. Good luck to that kid. Then you move on. You got Ricky Tersos versus Cameron Smotherman. You also have Josh Hokett versus Denzel Freeman. Michael Johnson versus Alexander Hernandez. Alex Perez versus Charles Johnson. So got a couple good fights, couple fun fights. You know, could potentially be exciting. Debuts always could end up being exciting if you pay attention to them, and it's opening the card. So if you just want to have a whole night of fights, throw the fights on early, you'll be able to catch those early prelims, and I'm sure you'll get some excitement out of that. But moving on to the prelims, you got opening the card, Nikita Krylov going up against Modestas Bukauskas. Nikita Krylov needs a win badly. He needs a win badly, and this would be a good one for him to bounce back against. I mean, you got 11-3 Bukauskas, who is a very skilled, very strong fighter. But we've seen Nikita Krylov in there with some tough opponents, right? Obviously, didn't get the best half of the tough opponents, but he's been in there with some tough opponents. He's definitely a veteran. He could get this done. He needs to get it done, but I would lead with Modestas Bukauskas. Moving on, you got Atiba Gauthier going up against Andre Puliayev. Beats me. I got Atiba Gauthier, though. That boy throws hands with some bad intentions. That man has a lot of power in his fists. He is extremely dangerous. So you have to go in there with some sort of game plan to focus on not getting hit, maybe putting him to the canvas and holding him down or something. Because if you get cracked by this dude, it's over with. So I am definitely going with Atiba Gauthier. All right, now we are on to probably the most interesting matchup on this prelims, and that is Umar Nurmagomedov going up against Deiveson Figueiredo. Why is this interesting, you ask? Well, Deiveson Figueiredo isn't really your typical guy who gets taken down, held down, controlled on the ground, and Umar is also not your typical guy who is a full-fledged wrestler. He is willing to strike a bit. If this is a good striking matchup, which it can be if this fight stays on the feet, Deiveson Figueiredo brings some heat sometimes. He can really bring some heat. He is dangerous. Right now, he's kind of fading. He's on the back end of his career, I would say. Right? So I don't see him being able to really walk through Umar Nurmagomedov or anything like that. Umar is a tough matchup for anybody. No matter what you think, if you want to kind of just push him to the side because of the Merab fight, That's fine, whatever. But the man is still very talented, very skilled, and dangerous. I would have to lean with Umar Nurmagomedov just because he's younger. You know, I think he's a fresher fighter than Davison. Davison Figueiredo has been in there with a lot of guys. He has deteriorated his body a lot by those 125 weight cuts. He struggles to make 135 sometimes. I just think it's a tough matchup for him. I would have to lean with Umar Nurmagomedov. Then you got Natalia Silva versus Rose Namajunas. Look, this is almost like Rose becoming a gatekeeper. If Natalia walks through Rose, it's a statement made for Natalia. She needs to get this done. She has to get this done. You do not want to go in there against a former champion when you're on your rise to get to the championship. You don't want to go in there against a former champion and lose this fight. Rose is always going to be a dog. She's always Thug Rose, no matter what. She's got beautiful striking. She even has good wrestling, but we've seen a slower version of Rose in the last few fights and maybe a slight decline. I think Natalia Silva is a problem. What she did to Alexa Grasso caught me completely off guard. I did not expect that at all. And from that fight, she has gained so much respect for me, and I think she is a problem in that division. Now, not for the champ, but she a problem in that division. So I do see her getting past Rose Namajunas, but never count Rose out. Last time I counted Rose out, she kicked Whaley in the head and knocked her out. That's how it goes in this game. And I'm wondering now if that fight might end up being on the main card instead of the main event of the prelims. It might be on the main card, opening the main card now that Amanda and Kayla's off. So that could end up being on the main card. But this, what was originally supposed to open the main card, Jean Silva versus Arnold Allen. This is going to be a slugfest for probably 2 minutes and 30 seconds. That's my assumption for this one. Look, Arnold Allen is a very strong, durable, aggressive pressure style fighter. Not in the scrappiest way, right? Like he'll get to swinging. You saw him against Dan Hooker when he dropped Dan Hooker, right? He was just swinging. He was just swinging, and he was throwing with bad intentions, and he does that at times. But he is very skillful, and he can mix it up a little bit. Now, we've seen Jean Silva. Jean Silva's coming off his first loss in the UFC against Diego Lopez, somebody he did not want to lose against. He could be coming in with some really bad intentions, right? He could be mad. He could be mean. You already know he's going to attack the center of the octagon. Both of them are. They're going to meet right in the middle. They're going to get the throwing, and somebody's going to sleep. I'm giving that 2 minutes and 30 seconds to maybe 4 minutes tops. I do not see this going past the first round. If it goes past the first round, that's because Jean Silva wanted to be patient, and Arnold Allen kind of waits until the aggression comes his way. Once it does, he starts pressing back forward, and if he lands on you, he flurries, man. If he lands on you and hurts you, he flurries, and he's strong enough to take to the ground. He's strong enough to pick you up, slam you, all that kind of stuff. I mean, the dude comes from a line of a family of strong men, so dude's very strong, very durable, and if Jean Silva ends up getting clocked and it's easy to get to the ground and Arnold Allen doesn't want to make it a slugfest, he could take it to the ground. Not necessarily like Dagestan wrestle control him, but he could definitely put the work in on the ground if he needs to. I'm going to have to lean with Arnold Allen in this fight. I can see Arnold landing something that changes Jean Silva's whole mood of catching in the middle. Now, don't get me wrong. Jean Silva can really, really put the work to anybody. You saw what he did to Drew Dober, and this could be a fight that's similar to that, right? Jean Silva can go in there against Arnold Allen and do the same thing he did against Drew Dober. It's a very, very stylistic, very similar stylistically, but I think Arnold is a dangerous fight for anybody in that division, and you have to bring something crazy. If you could get this past the first round, right, I think Arnold's aggression slows down because he kind of gets into a defensive mode of winning instead of continuing to put the pressure on. But as of right now, we're 10 days out, so things might change after I see some videos and stuff like that once I see the first vlog for the year and everything. But right now, I'm leaning Arnold Allen. Right now. Next fight, you got Waldo Cortez Acosta going up against Derek Lewis. Heavyweights are so incredibly difficult to really predict unless it's like a complete one-sided stylistic, like complete difference where one person is just so much better than the other, right? This one is two dudes who are scrappy, throw with a lot of power, and throw with bad intentions. Is it one of the situations of who lands first? I guess we'll find out. I think Waldo Cortez Acosta is going to show no respect to Derek Lewis's striking until he gets clocked by one of Derek Lewis's shots. And here's the thing about that. Sometimes you might get clocked by that shot. You're not getting a second chance. That one from Derek Lewis is all he needs, right? And then all of a sudden you're falling to the canvas and he's following up with a forearm just smashed into your face. Derek Lewis is dangerous at any given moment. So if you go in there and you're not going to respect a man striking, you may very well get tagged with something that you cannot come back from. So I actually am leaning Derek Lewis in this one. Now, Waldo Cortez Acosta is a dog. He is a dog. He is powerful, right? He is durable, and nothing's really going to slow him down except for a KO shot. And I think Derek Lewis is the guy to land that KO shot. He could do it on anybody. He's looking lean. He's looking lighter. He's probably moving a little bit quicker. And he hasn't taken a ton of damage in his career physically himself. So, you know, it's not like his longevity is going to be short because he's taking a lot of damage to the chin. I think Derek Lewis has a huge shot of winning this fight. Now, although Cortez Acosta is running with a couple wins behind him, so he's rocking with a little hype. He's dangerous right now. But if he is going in with the intention to not give any respect to Derek Lewis's striking, you might go to sleep, my friend. So if you've been following the page for a long time, anytime I would get to the co-main event and the main event, I would call it the Big Dog Breakdown, and you get a little bit more information, a little bit more action, and probably some footage in there. And we're bringing it back for 2026. So let's get into the Big Dog Breakdown for the co-main and the main event. Now, the co-main event, I'm assuming, I haven't seen a full announcement, but I'm assuming is Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong now, since Kayla and Amanda's off. So, you get into this 135-pound matchup. You got a striking battle 110%. Now, you could see a guy like Song Yadong potentially mixing it up if he gets in danger, but he's not a strong-suited wrestler. He's just a strong fighter, right? He has a strong base. He could utilize some sort of wrestling. But Sean is somebody that could put anybody in trouble. I think Sean is such a clean striker, and the accuracy and the timing of his striking throws every single guy that he has ever fought off, except for Merab. He really didn't throw Merab off, and he really didn't throw Petr Yan off too much, but he did land some clean shots. I think you're going to see him land some very clean shots in this fight, but I also do see him not putting Song Yadong out. I see Song Yadong being able to take these shots, move forward. Song Yadong reminds me of the type of guy that knows he's going to get hit no matter what, so it's not a surprise when he does get hit with a shot. You know, even if he didn't see it coming, it's weird. Sometimes a mentality, to me, can, balance out the chin. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just something that it seems that way. Like you watch a guy like Nate Diaz get cracked. Yeah, he's got a great chin. But I also think it's a mentality of, I am not going to sleep. You're not knocking me out. Who knows? The fight game is very, very different. It's very mental, but it's also obviously extremely physical. So you never know. One punch could knock somebody out, but maybe it takes 100 in the same shot, same spot. Keep going through the night before you get that knockout. It's a tough one to call. It's a very tough one to call. But I do think Sean has the accuracy and timing to put anybody out. I just think Song Yadong's got a good chin. Corey struggled to put him out. Corey did land some beautiful, beautiful strikes on him. Obviously Corey's not a crazy KO artist. He's landed some crazy flashy stuff that is knocked people out, but he's not really a KO artist with the hands. Not as much as Sean is. It's a tough call. I can see Song Yadong walking through the strikes, but I can also see Sean getting the W regardless. Sean's been in there with top talent. Sean's been a champion. He's on his way back up. If he gets this win, you're talking a rematch with Petr Yan. It's already built in. So you could definitely end up putting that together. So Sean needs this win. Song Yadong could use one as well. It's tough. Tough call. I'd probably lean Sean though. You watch sometimes, Song Yadong has a tendency to get a little sloppy because he gets overzealous with his strikes. He starts wailing, right? You don't want to wail them. You don't want to just throw big overhands, big hooks, and everything like that against a guy like Sean who can easily step back and crack you. He's quick. He's a step back crack just like he did to Aljo. He's done it in a lot of his fights, the step back and crack. Sometimes he got the knockout, sometimes did, but he's done it in a lot of his fights. He's very slick. He's able to just evade the punch enough to know where his range is and land his left hand, right hand. Doesn't matter. He's so clean and so accurate. If he lands on a jaw, it could be a short night for you. Now, the thing with Sean that I have found that he has had so much success with is body kicks. If he does not come through with body kicks, it's going to disappoint me. He has a very good teep kick up the middle. It definitely bothers guys. It keeps guys at a distance, but that distance is Sean's range. Sean can pick you apart at his range anytime he wants to. So that kick really gives him the distance, gives him the idea of the range that he's got, and he's landing those shots or understanding how far he's got to step back. When you come in, he knows his range, but he needs to utilize those teep kicks in a fight like this too, because Song Yadong is going to be somebody who is so aggressive off rip. And I think this is one of those fights where Sean should use that veteran mentality. Now, they've been in the game just about the same time, but since Sean has been at the highest level now, you kind of get that veteran aspect a little bit. So Sean needs to use that. Sean needs to let this fight pass one, right? Through the first round, jabs and teeps, right? Let Song Yadong keep coming in and keep running into jabs and teeps, jabs and teeps, jabs and teeps. And before you know it, it's going to wear him down. He brings everything he has in that first round, right? If he's not smart and doesn't come in with a different game plan to not bring every ounce of energy he has in that first round, then Sean is going to pick him apart in two. And if he doesn't finish him in two, he might finish him in three, but he's going to pick him apart after that. If he doesn't straight off rip pick him apart in the first round, what would have to happen is Song's got to land something that gains Sean respect, that Sean doesn't want to engage much. That's the only way that I see Song Yadong getting a really good W in this fight, but I have to lean with Sean O'Malley in this one. Sorry, I know I sound hella nasally. Your boy definitely got a slight little cold. Everybody is sick. It's crazy. Everybody is sick. What the fuck? Moving on to the main event, you got Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. Who's gonna get it done? It's a great question. It really is a great question. Stylistically, it's an interesting matchup. You just had Paddy Pimblett coming off of a win against Michael Chandler, where that was a fight 110%. I thought Paddy was going to lose that one. I thought guaranteed, no doubt, Paddy lost that one. I thought Michael Chandler was a lock in that fight. But Paddy shows that he is dangerous in any aspect. The only thing is, still has a tendency to keep that chin way up. You don't want to keep the chin way up against Justin Gaethje. He is hunting for the chin. That is his goal, is to land that beautiful overhand right on the chin and send you away. He wants to be violent. He wants to bring the heat. But guess what? Paddy Pimblett is not somebody who's going to back off. So Paddy's not somebody who's going to retreat from the heat. He's going to take it. He's ready to go. He wants that smoke. I give Paddy props because Paddy is about the smoke. He wants it. To build a star, you got to have confidence in yourself. And that's exactly what Paddy has. And Paddy getting W's against guys like Michael Chandler, Justin Gaethje. You're talking about the guys that have been at the top that are now fading out. And Paddy Pimblett's the one taking them out. It's an interesting cycle how it always ends up happening. It always ends up happening. Old guard, new guard. We've discussed that so many times, and it happens consistently. But the thing with this one is Justin Gaethje's not out of it yet. He's not out of his prime. He's not washed. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. It's a difficult fight for him, though. It is a difficult fight. Now, people talk about what if Paddy gets this fight to the ground? Well, Justin, besides fighting in Dagestan, who else has gotten him to the ground? There hasn't been anybody that got him to the ground, and if they did, they couldn't hold him down. Justin has fantastic takedown defense on a typical wrestler, typical takedown guy. Like Charles didn't even take him down. Charles dropped him. Now, I think Paddy could have success like that if he does drop him. Paddy has to be clean with the technical striking. Be a little patient. Don't try to play into Justin Gaethje's game. You play into Justin Gaethje's game, your legs are going to get chewed up and you are going to end up going to sleep. You do not want to play into his game. You have to play into your game. You have to stay confident. You have to play a little bit of mind games with Justin Gaethje, and you also have to stay patient. Try to make this 2-3 rounds longer than you expected it. Now, Gaethje could be an issue in 5 rounds. So this is why predicting these are so tough, because Patty might need to stretch this to make it a little bit easier for him. But at the same time, we've seen Justin Gaethje in 5-round contests, and when he gets more comfortable, he's a problem. He's a problem. So Patty has to fight to his strength. Justin has to fight to his strength. If Justin can pull Patty into a scrap, it's going to be a long or potentially short night for Patty, right? It's going to be a tough night regardless. He's either going to sleep or getting his ass beat for 5, right? Once Justin Gaethje locks in, finds the range, finds the shots that are working, he just continues on that. You snap back to Tony Ferguson. The way he beat Tony Ferguson that was on an 11-fight win streak. El Kukui. That was El Kukui at his prime. I mean, top tier. And Justin went in there and snatched his soul in that fight. Justin was landing some of the most beautiful shots. And it was during COVID, so we got to actually hear the shots. It was that fight. It was on Fight Island. You heard the shots, and they were nasty. But he was landing some of the most beautiful shots, even after he got dropped with that uppercut. Where situations like that in the first round, that's where Patty has to be able to find a shot, right? Justin likes to get a little overzealous in the first round, but that is mainly when he's fighting guys who are willing to battle with him. Patty don't fight into his game. If Patty don't fight into his game, I think it's going to be tougher for Justin. Now, Justin might still be able to find a shot, but not as easily. When people play into Justin's game, people also tag Justin when they get into his game. But then he finds the rhythm, finds the groove. They can't outlast him in his own game when they can't finish him. It's got to be a guy like Dustin Poirier. You know what I'm saying? Or a guy that's a next level talent like a Khabib or like a Charles. You don't want to play into Justin Gaethje's game, because once you get past that first round, if you do not finish him, he can cook. This is a really tough fight to call. I'm not lying to you. Like, I've watched so many fights. I've broken down so many fights. I have so many different videos on here. You can go back and watch them. I've talked about many Justin Gaethje fights, many Paddy Pimblett fights. This is a tough one to break down. When my friend asked me who I thought was going to win this fight, I'm bouncing back and forth every week. I can't figure it out, and we're 10 days away, so maybe I'm still up and down with it. I'm not 100% sure, but this is the way I look at it. If Patty fights the way he fought against Chandler, I think he's going to have a lot of success. If he fights the way he fought against Jared Gordon, he's going to sleep. I think it's that simple. And then for Gaethje has to try to be the veteran. Gaethje has to try to be the expert. Gaethje has to try to show that he's got more of the IQ in the octagon to take this win. Show more confidence mentally, with the skill set, with the fact that he's been in there with so many different people. He's been in there longer. It's just a difficult fight for everybody. And use that in the mind games too. Everybody knows going in a fight against Justin Gaethje is going to be a tough one. So you got to utilize that in the mind games. I think Justin could have some success. It's tough. I don't have, like I said, a final call. I'm going to come through and do the same thing like I've done before, where I do the individual fighter breakdowns, the high stakes fighter breakdowns. So we'll definitely get into that soon. But that's it for this episode. You guys know what to do if you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification button so you know when the next episode is out. And I'll catch you in the next episode. Your boy Bando's out. Peace.